All right, so there was some major news in Fresno State land this past week, and it's not related to on the field. This week they announced the new Bulldog Sports Enterprises, which is going to be an in-house control of its intellectual property, media rights, and so forth. And what that means is that they're going to be leaving Learfield and to going back to try and form their own broadcasting center. This is probably what going in the pack helps. What does this mean going forward immediately? Well, first and foremost, last few years since 2021, the Bulldogs have been locally in Fresno on 1340 Fox Sports, so other related radio stations throughout the Central Valley. Now I'm going to move back to ESPN Radio, where they were from 2013, COVID year 2020. So that'll be good. I'm hoping that this new station will allow more of a longer pregame show and a longer postgame show. Fox did not do a very good job of that. In the first year, they had no call-in show, for instance. I'm hoping that with ESPN, they will have a longer show for fans to come in, give their voices and so forth. Now, granted, nothing will ever beat the KMJ days. I mean, they literally had a show called Dog Talk, like the inspiration for this channel name, where you would go on for hours. There was no national network. There was nothing like that going forward. So you would just go on as long as they'll call us. So hopefully something like that happens. I think that's something that's huge that can help, gauge fan interest, fan involvement. Like in the South and Midwest programs that when they're on the local stations will go on all day long, all night long, as long as there are people chiming in. This effort is also being led up by not just the athletic department, but by helping with Chris Pacheco. He's a former Fresno State player and entrepreneur. He owns several radio stations and other such companies around here. He's a former Fresno State player. So this is something that's extremely passionate for him. He wanted to try. He owns the local ESPN 1430, for instance. He also owns A+ Signs, Mega Prints, and he'll serve as the president overall. And he was at the press of Garrett Classy when they talked about this. I'll link in the video below. And there are some things that he talked about wanting to do that I think are very, very important that should be done right now. And it has hurt them with Fox. They don't have a Spanish radio broadcast for their games like they did on KMJ and ESPN. That is a major mistake given the size and demographics of such speaking countries. I would even try and get a Hmong station speaking nation. We have a Hmong population around here. I would do whatever I can to expand in as many markets as I can. For them not to speak in Spanish or not have a Spanish language broadcast, I always felt it just didn't make any sense to me. There was no reason for it not to happen, and so he's going to try and get a couple. Let's see if I can get his overall statement. Let's see if I can find that. He wants to get a couple down here. He also wants to try and expand the markets as well. I believe he said something about going to the Central Coast, San Luis Obispo, around that area. Let me see if I can find a direct quote. And while I do that, I do think that it's also something else that Fresno State has to do, at least for football. It's at a level than, say, Cal Poly. I mean, to me, Fresno State should at least try and make a sizable presence in the Central Coast. I think that they have, under this agreement with Learfield, they've not really expanded as well as they could have. They've been very, how should I put this? How do I want to put this? They've been very non-aggressive. They've not been particularly ambitious. This is a school that has had for a very long time they've had a lot of time. Like, ever since the John Welty days, this is why I applaud this president right now. He is really a go-getter, and this is a move that shows that they are leaving Learfield overall. That's a big deal. It's one of the biggest national broadcasts in the nation, basically. So, to leave that's a huge deal. They Yeah, let me see if I can get everything here for you guys. Okay, yeah. Let me read a quote from Classy real quick. I'm sorry about this. This is not as sloppy as this is sloppy, but let me read this. Yeah, he. Let me give you some highlights. Yeah, he says like basically he says I'm not. This is from Classy. I'm not signing a 15-year deal. The president's not signing a deal with companies that don't believe in Fresno State. We're done taking 50 cents on the dollar. I inherited some revenue contracts here that are just horrendous, and he is absolutely right. There are some really bad contracts that the other administration here just. Yeah, just basically you got ripped off. I mean, the goal overall here is here's another quote from the Class C. The goal of BSE is to increase revenues in areas such as corporate sponsorships, ticketing, premium seating, athletic name, image, and likeness. Net profiting share will be 80% split for Fresno State and 20 for BSA for most assets. Field logo or jersey patches be a 90-10 split. I mean, this is something that had to be done. And I think that the move of the pack really does help them. It really does. Oh, and I know some people think, oh, what about the Valley Children's Stadium? Classy talked about that. He said that basically that he has no issue with them. They're a great partner. So don't make any videos or anything like that, or articles or anything like that condemning it. He said he's pretty happy with it. So this is a move to try and control local assets and try and get businesses involved. Classy emphasized this also in his press conference about the businesses saying how you can get involved with Fresno State and how so many of your customers are Fresno State supporters and so forth. So this is really something where they want to try and get localized control over it. And I sound like a broken record here, but this is a big deal for us. It is a big... To try and how should I put this right here? Okay, just yeah. I mean, it. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase this. It's just been really late. It's just I'm trying to give this the justice that is due. All right. For a long time, Fresno State just did not have control of its assets. Now they do, all right? Now they do, and the presser where I'm going to paint down below, they will have it under control. They, like I said, the current university deal that we have from the Learfield over the years was a flat fee of $2.5 million. That is not good enough. Period. End of story. And they've cut off our university deal by almost $1 million per. So, yes, they've really screwed us over pretty good. I think that the contracts by Terry Toomey were just not good. I generally try not to crap on him, but Toomey was a bad guy here. Really was. Really was a bad dude here in terms of his businessman acute. And speaking of bad deals here, I know some of you guys been asking about Wahlberg. Is he going to stick around? Is he not? Well, Classy mentioned that in his presser that, yes, Wahlberg will be the coach. And he more or less defended Wahlberg and more or less said, the problem's not him. The problem is that we don't have the infrastructure, which is true. There is a lack of an infrastructure here that you have to create, which is why I've suggested that maybe he'd be better off as... a GM or ambassador or something. I'm not sure he's the kind of guy who can coach here, but nevertheless, he's going to be our guy next year, according to Classy. He's going to be here next. He sounds like he really does. I'm not going to say believe in him, but it seems like he believes there are bigger problems here that a new coach is simply not going to fix, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, if Fresno State wants to compete in the new pack, we have to have the money to get players that will want to come here and make a difference. I mean, you're not going to win with a Jake Hybrid. You're not going to win with, in my opinion, you're not going to win with Zayn Collins. I mean, some of those guys have already left the transfer portal. I'll make a video about that shortly, about who's entering the transfer portal. I'll probably wait till the official day starts, but it's, it's not a surprise, and it's like, oh, geez, how much are you going to get this guy here? So... this is another deal that can help add revenue to where Fresno State needs it. We need all the revenue we can get, and we've just not been getting it from our intellectual property. And this deal helps Fresno State get it back. You know what I'm saying? Bulldogs now in control of their revenue. They can control their own radio. They can control this and that. So I'm excited to see what this does. I'm really curious to see how much this will interact with the Pac-12 media apparatus in terms of the studios and what kind of content they're going to create. They want to present themselves as a top 5 team. They're trying to go back to that P5 model. They're going to try and get that status back. I know there are people saying, we want to eventually move with the Big 12 or the ACC. I don't think that's really... I think that fundamentally ignores the direction things are going as it stands between the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and so forth. I think your goal as the Pac-12 is to try and establish yourself as the West Coast Premier Conference. And if you're Fresno State, you need to establish yourself in a region that has way more people in it, like at least 3 to 5 million, maybe more depending on what you're reading. And this helps you do that. It helps you in multiple languages to establish yourself as the program. I mean, Fresno State football certainly is, from Bakersfield to Modesto. I think that's the limit north to south, but they want more. They want it for basketball. They want it for the bat and ball sports. And controlling your own media does that. So this is a big event for Fresno State. It's big news. Spring football has also started. Looks like Martin's going to be the starting guy just based on who's talking to the media, what we're hearing, and so forth. I'll make a video on that as well. But, it's a big day for Bulldogs. So if you're a Fresno State fan, just keep supporting them. Go Dogs.